Dance is something that shapes us and it helps us become who we are today. It's something that lives within us. And this episode is all about a trip down memory lane and an invitation for you to do the same. Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today, we are going to be talking about something so cute. And if you listened to the episode right before this, we talked about how dancing is something you can always come back to. And this is very fitting with that same idea because just over the weekend, I got an opportunity to dance in the alumni dance of my studio's 35th annual dance recital. And it was so cute and it was so emotional. And yeah, it was even more emotional than, so we did that for the 25th as well. And this one just hit like a little bit different. First, I think I'm just going to give you a fun little summary of it in case you were curious about it. And then we'll go into how this applies to you. So the first thing that was really cool was the rehearsals, because that actual studio that they're in now wasn't our studio growing up. Growing up, we were in a different location. So I'm sure if it was the same exact location, it would have felt really crazy, but it was a different space. And I actually don't even remember the 25th. For whatever reason, I have no memories of rehearsing for that routine. In fact, it's really weird. I saw a clip of a dance and I was like, oh my God, that looks like me. Come to find out, it was me dancing in the 25th show. And I just had no memories of it. So it was really crazy, honestly. The rehearsals felt really cool. We showed up seeing people that I haven't seen in 10 years. That was really cool. Learning routines from students that I used to teach, that was really cute because, now they teach dance at the studio. And then skipping ahead. So now this is actually really cool too. The dance recital was always at our junior high school in our town. And for, I don't know how long of a period of time, it was at another school in another town. So this was so cool that it was back at the exact school that we used to perform at. And the MC was the same MC that always did it every year, year after year. And, it was just as hot as it always was. No AC, so hot. And yeah, the walking in and going in the entrance, everything just felt so cool. It was such a cool experience. And then seeing my teacher, Kim, she's the same. The way that she would joke around and be like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Or what was that? I don't know. It was nothing changed. It was just really cool. Everything's cool. That's my word. I guess surreal could be another word that I might use, but it's just not as cool as the word cool. So we had our mini rehearsal before the show and we went on stage and we were laughing that the stage feels so small compared to what it felt before. And I actually had that thought the last time for the 25th. I remember saying, wow, this stage feels so small compared to what it used to feel like. And being wow, did we really get everything on that stage that we did? I guess we did. So for the beginning half of the show, because we were performing at the end, I decided to sit with some of the dancers in the alumni show. We sat in the front row. I actually sat on the floor. It was so exciting. I don't know. It was just so cool. The show started and it was so exciting. And something that I love about my dance teacher is she just loves big celebrations. She loves to do things big. I noticed that. I've always, I think, known that. When I think back, we did these floats and we would go into the Christmas parade every year in December, the first Sunday of December. And we would dance the whole main street. And it was such a fun experience. And we had the float and we would always win. It's just, we had the best costumes and we had the best float and the best song. And she's so creative. And in terms of scenery, she always had cool scenery. In fact, my dad made one of the scenes one time, because I don't know if you know this, but my dad is a very talented artist. And the theme was Oscars. And he painted this whole gigantic thing of scenery. And it was really cool to be my dad did that. I remember when the Titanic was big. I don't even know if I was in the dance. That's how funny memory is. I do remember she had someone make a bunch of iceberg scenery. I don't know. It was wildly cool. So as I'm watching this recital, so many things came to mind. So she's hitting her 35th. My studio is hitting its 15th, which that feels crazy to say out loud. But when I first opened, I did have a children's dance studio and adults. Now it's just adults, but when I first opened, I did recitals, and I didn't know this, but they kind of walked down memory lane a little bit with the MC. I think maybe he talked to Kim ahead of time and like heard some stories, and something that I didn't know is that she started with just over 20 kids and I started with just over 20 kids. And I remember that first recital that I had, she and the dancers came to my show and they performed, because I had, I don't know how many routines, maybe 9, to make a full show. They had their competition teams perform and they brought their props and help decorate the stage and help make it like a full show. And I remember that day so vividly. I cried the entire day that day. It was like so emotional. It was just so crazy to see, like, 1, your dream come true, and then 2, to see like dancers dancing in a recital that you put on, and like all your creativity and all your hard work coming together in one day. It's not really like that anymore because we don't have a pivotal show right now at the studio. We have every day is something amazing. But when you do celebrate a recital, you're celebrating that year or that decade or that 5-year span, and it hits just a little bit different. And that day I remember being like, whoa, my first year I did this, like, I can't believe that. And they had costumes and same idea, because obviously I learned from Kim, so there were things that were like very thoughtful. There were costumes, there was a flow to the stage, there was a theme, everything that there could have been, there were props, there was an MC. And I had this moment when I was looking at, there's so much that has changed and there's so much that didn't change. The one thing that I did observe that changed, like, the music is slightly different, and like my DJ mind was like really speaking to me. I'm like, oh, they probably grabbed this mix of this song and blended it with this mix of this song. That was really cool to see, versus like back in the past, like we would use like the radio edits and we would splice them up the way that we would, or like the full song of something and not have, like a mega mix for the dance. I also noticed a lot of tumblers. Back in the day, I was the only tumbler, and now they've got multiple girls and multiple tumbling passes, which was really exciting and cool to see. So that has shifted. They're definitely better in terms of technique than we were. So everything has improved in a certain way, and at the same time, things are the same. So like there was one prop in particular that I remember. It was like this cake. I'm so glad that they still have that. And then we were, this is so cute. We were on stage and we were rehearsing, and the way that you get when a show is happening or something really big is happening, you kind of just want to like minimize stress and you don't want anyone bothering you. And Kim was always a great example of that, because she was just like always herself and always just like, don't bother me, like I'm doing something big right now, and like don't ask me questions, and follow the directions and follow the rules. So there was like one instance where like people were coming in and they know not to come in. Like, don't come in. What are you doing? And she said to her husband, and I can literally just picture myself like telling Josh, like, she was like, get them out of there. They're not supposed to be in here. Take them out. And I can picture myself saying that to Josh, like, Josh, they're not supposed to be in here. Get them out. Because, it's a surprise. And like, again, like I was able to see so many similarities. I've always known that my studio has influenced me, and I always have known how much Kim has influenced me. But to see it again and to relive it, it was just so cool. Like all of her ideas, and yeah, granted, like everyone that comes up with ideas comes to like one big show, but the idea of having a theme, the idea of having this big celebration, like even in our routine, there was this moment where they had like these really cool like confetti pull things and they just like blasted out. I'm like, what a cool idea to like make it so big, make the celebration so big. And I do talk to you about making your celebrations big, because we can so easily just focus on like what we can work on all the time. That's the easiest thing. Like we already know what we can work on. What can we celebrate? I think it's so fun to celebrate in a big way. When I was getting my permit for the first time, this girl in front of me, she was like, oh, what are you guys here for? And I was like, I'm getting my permit. Like, it's my birthday. And she was like, oh my God, it's your birthday. And she made such a big deal out of my birthday that it was like, it was just so special. And obviously I always will remember that. She was like, no, it's your day. You got to really celebrate. This is the day that you came to live on this earth. And it was just like really cute. So I always admire when people celebrate big, because it takes a lot of planning and it takes a lot of power and confidence to celebrate that way. It's like you're owning your celebration. When Josh and I went to Italy and we wore those little banners that my mom got us, Josh even was like, oh, I don't know, do you really want to wear these? I was like, yes, I do, because I want to celebrate big, like whatever that means. Like, yes, sometimes the celebration is making sure other people know that you're celebrating so that they can get in on the celebration too. People love to celebrate. The amount of times where I'm out and someone's celebrating, like I love to like chime in when they're singing happy birthday, or I love to like wish the person wearing the banner and the crown a happy day with whatever they're celebrating. Like it's so fun. It maximizes the experience when you have more people to celebrate with you. So this being that we all came back, and there was like, I don't know, maybe there was 25 of us or 30 of us that came back to dance throughout the span of all these years. Like it was just really special and really cool to be with everyone and to also like be there for Kim to celebrate this big accomplishment. It was also really cool to hear these like beginner stories. Like, so for example, there was one little story that I heard where her husband was like, oh yeah, this time 35 years ago, like she came in and that's when we met. And I was like, wait, what? And he was like, oh, you don't know that story? And I was like, no. So I guess like she went out to the diner and met him there that morning of the first recital. I thought that was just such a cool story to hear. And then the MC was sharing that she used to have her recitals in her home. And I was like, oh my God, that's so reminiscent of the first studio that I ever went to, because I actually didn't grow up here. I grew up somewhere else and had a different studio for the first like 6 years. Up until like age 8, and I moved during the middle of my 3rd grade year. So my dance teacher at the time, she had a studio in her basement. So it was cool hearing that like Kim had the same kind of start as well, like in her home as my other instructor did. So hearing that was like really cool, like hearing the stories, because like what we see now is what we see. And even like I know what it's like to run a studio now. So when I look at Kim, I still look at her and I see ease, and she's got it, and she has her flow and she knows what to do. And probably at the same time, she's also figuring it out. I think about myself now owning the studio for 15 years. I'm still figuring things out and I'm still learning the best ways to do things. So I think back to when we were celebrating the 15th or the 20th recital, which that's when I was dancing there. She was in a state of maybe the state that I'm in right now, which is interesting to think about. And it was just such a cool and special experience. I'm so glad that I was able to do it. It was tough there for a second because I thought that I wasn't going to be able to pull it off because we're in our performance season right now. And things are like busy in multiple different ways. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to travel like an hour and a half to get there for these rehearsals and learn it? And then like, they're having rehearsals Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays. I can come to 3 Sundays, which I ended up only being able to come to 2. And it worked out and it was like so fun. And so the reason why this relates to you is because it's an opportunity for reflection. It's an opportunity and reminder for celebration. It's an opportunity to talk to your younger self. And it's an opportunity to know and remember that you never leave. Even when you leave something, it's never really gone because it always still remains in you. And that was like something I knew. I was able to just look at all these different moments and say like, oh, wow. Or even like song selections. All right. So for example, there's this thing that we do at the studio. I call it the mansion. And it's like this little like Halloween world that I create for my students where it's like, this is what the house is like. This is what the patio is like. This is what the basement is like. And I use these descriptor words to explain to them like, this is where you are in the mansion. And this is what's going on. And this is the season. And this is what's happening. And someone's on the balcony and they're coming in. You're having your wedding in the garden. Like I let them get like really immersed in this mansion world. And I was sitting there and I was watching the show, and the last performance right before the intermission was the Haunted Mansion. And I was like, oh, that's so funny. And then recently, like, oh, spoiler alert, I've been wanting to do like this Halloween theme for a while now of like, well, maybe I won't spoil it, but something. And a lot of it is like you're creative in a world where like there's no origination of certain ideas. Like it's just like these are ideas, but I was able to pull out a few that I was like, I wonder if subliminally this is like connected to that in some way still. That's like kind of what I was thinking. I was like, wow, like I am like such an FDA girl. I wonder if my creativity is still connected to the creativity that I learned from Kim. I'm sure it is. It's just a really cool thing to think about. So then in terms of you, like also, do you have something that you did growing up that was something you were very dedicated to? And have you made an opportunity for yourself to like go back and think back and say, I have this vivid memory of myself as a kid saying like, kind of like me, I don't know if I was like physically looking at like the studio or Kim, but I think like internally, like in my mind, I was like thinking of Kim in the studio, and I was like someday, like I'm gonna do this. And I always remember saying in my head, like, wow, like I'm gonna do that when I'm older. And then I remember when I graduated college, like I taught for a year, and then it was that summer when I was like, well, I'm not gonna wait till I'm older. I'm gonna do it now. I'm so glad I did that. Like I'm so glad I did not wait until I was older, whatever that meant. I think I talked about that in a podcast too, about like feeling like you're too young for something. That was an episode, that was one of the Word Shift series. It was a good one. It was episode 54. Yeah, and I just remember thinking like, I'm not old enough to know how to do that yet. But the truth is like, you can figure it out. So when you're thinking about like your childhood, is there anything that you would say to her? For me, not that I would even really say anything. I would just be like, you're going to do it. I would probably like ruin the surprise. I would probably be like, yo, you're going to do that. Like, did you know that? Get ready. Or I might have said like, absorb everything you can, because like you're standing in front of someone who's like done so much and you can learn so much from this person. So like, I would maybe say like, turn on a different brain, like stop being a student for a second and be in a business owner mind and like watch and observe through that channel. Maybe I would have said that, just to like really understand. Cause like you don't learn this stuff. Like this isn't, even if I did go to business school, this is not what I would have learned how to do. You really just learn from a situation happening and then dealing with that situation. That's how you learn. Or something that you want that's not happening and you figuring out how to make it happen. Another really special moment of this whole thing was we had this moment in the show where after we did our dance, we did like a little like walk through and we did like a little trick or a cute little dance, and we all got like highlighted in some sort of way. And at the very, very end, the students who have kids, especially the students who have kids who dance at the studio, they had their little moment. And that was wild to see too, because there are students that dance with me and they have like 10-year-old kids right now and they're dancing in the show and like being a shining star in the show. And then they're walking down with their mom. And it's just like such a cool legacy to watch. There's really so many connections of everything. And there's such a cool development. And then that brings me to the idea that like dance is just like one of the coolest things in the world. Nothing beats it. And everyone gets to experience this if they want to. It's like not closed off to just anyone. It's like if you want to be a part of a dance studio, you can. It's not that hard. You just sign up. Like, isn't that amazing? You could literally just be like, wow, I want this. Wow, I want to have like a social group of people. I want to feel connected. Just sign up. Get yourself in a class, and like before you know it, you're going to be such a big part of something that's so much bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than the studio itself. It's like dance is just such a cool way of connecting everyone. And I remember when Zumba was really big, dance was this universal language and still is, but it was just talked about differently then because everything was geared towards worldly music. So we're all dancing to the same types of music all across the world, and we're teaching it, and anyone can pick it up in any language because it's so universal. So it was like a really cool thing that they talked about a lot with Zumba, which is dance. I know Zumba got like a bad rep because they kind of like had too many instructors instructing that maybe should not have been instructing. So certain people got bad tastes in their mouth from Zumba when they were with maybe the wrong instructor. But I still love the concept of Zumba is, and actually Dance With Me, the class that I teach at the studio, is very similar structure to Zumba. We do have it 3 times a week. So if you're looking for something like that and you're in the area, come dance with me at Dance With Me. It was kind of funny. Fun fact about that name. I was just like, I gotta just put a name on it and I'll change it later. And now, I don't know how many years later, that's still the name. It's called Dance With Me. And we refer to it as like DWM. But I always said like, I'll change the name later. But I kind of like it because it's like, oh, you're coming to dance with me? Get it? It's like, and then in terms of this concept of like having a mentor, having a coach, we think about the people who have influenced us and have coached us or mentored us. And I want to give you this time right now to think about those people. It's pretty cool to think about how you've shaped yourself to be this person that you are day in and day out. And because maybe you don't see that person as often, like for me, the experience was kind of, well, I don't really see Kim that often. But to be there in that space, I was able to just understand how much I'm still so connected to her and the studio, even though so many years have gone by and so much distance has been made because of schedules and because like I'm not there at the studio. Just the sheer fact that I'm dancing and that I own a studio, there's such a big connection there. And I invite you to think about that in terms of your life and your mentors and people who have helped shape you. How are you still connected to them? I think about that in terms of like the students that I have that currently don't dance at the studio anymore, but they have their own classes now that they're teaching. And I know that in a very big way is because of what my studio provided them with the confidence to do so. Just the same way as my studio growing up has provided me the opportunity to feel so confident in my skills that I could do this. And of course, like this alumni show is just a reminder of everything that dance is other than technique and turns. It's the power of resilience and confidence, all the friendships, showing up, learning, all those little things that dance gives to us. When we think we're learning something else, we're really getting that. And I love that about dance. And also just to think about how dance is so layered. Like at least for me, started as a dancer, then became a dance instructor, then became a fitness instructor, personal trainer, then opened up a dance studio, so became a business owner. Then, because I love dancing so much, I learned other styles of dance, so I became a Latin ballroom performer, and then went into teaching couples. And then because I taught couples how to dance for their weddings, I became a DJ. And then because that happened, there's so many like overlapping layers that learned how to do styling and met Josh and we opened up a boudoir studio. And then from there, now we have the podcast. So just to think about all of those things, that was like 10 things I just listed, all with this basis of dance, which is like wild. Like without dance, I don't know. Would I love DJing as much? I don't know. I don't know if I would. Because everything about dance that I love is what I love about DJing, the music and like the beats and watching people have fun, watching them feel confident on the dance floor. It's like the same thing in a different world. So I wonder for you, like as you're thinking about like who you are right now, and maybe you had dance as a foundation when you grew up, and maybe dance has provided you with different things as well. So this might be a beautiful time for you to think about everything that you are and everything that your identity is with dance as your starting base. Or if you are new to dance, what it's like to have dance included with everything that you are. How does it enhance your life? How does it bring you closer to the people that are in your life? How does it make you feel more comfortable when you're going out and about, talking to different people, being social, dancing on the dance floor at a wedding, wearing certain outfits, taking certain pictures, understanding and knowing your angles? So in summary, I had an absolute blast dancing in the alumni show this past weekend. It was so cool to watch Kim do her thing and to see all the dancers just living it up. Like what a prime time that was, like being on stage, doing dance after dance. It was so cool. And then being able to watch it from a different perspective, that was cool. And how you can incorporate this dance foundation that you maybe have within you or that you're building right now, and how to use it for your own legacy with the people around you or even your children or the people that you're encouraging to dance around you. Dance is something that is so powerful. And once you tap into that power, you can truly be so confident, so creative, and so thoughtful with how you go about your life. So I hope that this was fun for you to go down memory lane with me. And if it was, it would mean the world to me if you left a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or maybe even share this with someone that you used to dance with or someone that you can't wait to dance with, because sharing this podcast means you're sharing the love of dance and encouraging people to be on their dance journey too. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.